Our racing fans, welcome to our Gallop TV preview show for the Vaal Classic track on Thursday, the 6th of April. And as per always, when it comes to the racing in Highveld, we welcome Alistair Cohen onto the show. Race number 1 starts off the bar pot at 12:55. It's over 1,450 meters. And let's get straight into the betting and have a look at horses in single figures here. Race number 1, horse number 2 is at 2-1. Number 3 is at 8-1. The first timer from the Sean Terry stable called Katira, number 6, is at 9-2. And then it is number 12, Spring in Heaven, Mike the Cox runner, 28-10. Yeah, welcome, Alistair. Race number 1 starting off the bipod.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dees. Hello to all the racing viewers and fans, and hopefully this Thursday meeting at the Vaal goes according to plan. Yeah, we start off with the favourite from the Stuart Pettigrew stable, number 2, Bitsula, who I think is the one to beat. She was given a pretty soft introduction first time out, which was just 16 days ago, over this distance on the Turfentine inside track. A little bit of a worry about the strength of form. Soldier's Eye didn't look like winning until the final 100 metres, but she got up very, very late in the day to beat Mike the Cocktrain runner, who just got snared at the line. So I'm not 100% sure about the strength of the form. I think she'll improve a lot. She is a half-sister to Tulip Tree, who, of course, Stuart Pettigrew has done very well with lately. She's looking for a hat-trick the next time she races. So I think number 2, Batula, is deserved at the top of the board. Very interesting runner here for me is number 4, Dakota Cat, because we saw Platina Princess out of the run from Egyptian Mao beat Open Company on Tuesday at Turfentine and beat Open Company with absolute content. So number 4, Dakota Cat, I think is worth a little bit more respect. She's probably overpriced. I think she could very easily run into the first 4. Sean Terry's first time at number 6, Katira, under Piers Stratham, his comments at the front of the computer form are fairly positive, saying that he's hoping for a good run. The Mother Witchcraft was an out-and-out stayer, so this makes this filly a half-sister to Billy Spellbound, who also looks like he's going to be more effective ever further. So I think if she runs on into Mana Money, she's one to watch in the future. And then Candice is running number 3, Courageous, despite the yard being a bit quiet at the moment. Candice has always held this filly in high regard, and this distance is bound to suit. Whether she's going to get the better of number 2, Batula, that remains to be seen, but I think that she will run her best race on Thursday at the Vaal.
Yeah, it looks like a tricky start. I must agree with Alistair. I actually took down the betting for Dakota Cat after watching Platina Princess win the other day, and that's trading at around 12-1. I think Love Song, Mike de Cox, the daughter of Rafif, number 8, was quietly fancied on debut. Didn't run too badly considering lengths-wise, was only beaten 5 lengths. Samanga Kumalo's Mount is a 16-1 shot, number 11. And then, of course, number 12, Spring in Heaven, the more fancied of the De Kock runners coming from that Soldier's Eye form line. So it looks like a tricky start to the Bipot here, race number 1. If you're not in the camp of number 2, Batula, then I think you're going to have to play it wide to try and survive there. Race number 2 starts off the place accumulator. Horses in single figures here, Alistair. Number 2 at 5-2, 3 at 4-1, 4 at 7-1. The top one is number 8, and No Place Like Home. Mike the Cox runner trading at 2-1, and then it is 10-1 and better the balance. Between these two runners, numbers 2 and 8, I think those will be popular choices for the PA.
Yeah, the place accumulator is my suggested bet here, Dees, and I've gone with 3 horses, those 2 runners, and number 6, Camo Camo, because I've heard about this horse, Camo Camo, for a while. He's been quoted to run a few times and keeps getting scratched, but Stratham takes her out from an awkward draw. So there are a few disclaimers about number 6, Camo Camo, but as we know, Sean is in hot form at the moment, and he gets his 2-year-olds ready. So just watch the betting on him. With regard to number 2, Bomb Bomber, was a very pleasing debut over the complete wrong distance. He stayed on very nicely. He pulled out of that race well. He comes out of gate 1, which is obviously a huge benefit. So number 2, Bomb Bomb, a huge chance, but I'm under no illusions that he's got number 8, No Place Like Home, to beat. He too was likely to improve over the trip. He's a full brother to Shoemaker, who was a very, very good 2-year-old and early 3-year-old, and I still wouldn't be writing him off. Mark de Kock hit form on Tuesday at Turfentine. Craig Zaki rode a winner in Platina Princess for de Kock on Tuesday as well. So there's a lot to like about number 8, No Place Like Home, and I think the 2, both runners out of that first run, they've got a lot of scope to improve, and I think they will fight it out. When you look around elsewhere, not much else really catches the eye. So even though I've gone 3 horses in the first leg of the plate accumulator, confidence I'll at least double up.
Yeah, I must agree on breeding and pedigree and who he's related to. This horse should enjoy the extra distance as well. number 8, No Place Like Home. So we'll see what Alistair's done in that place accumulator at the end of the show. Race number 3, we'll start off the big one, the pick 6. You need to get your bets on by 13:55. It's over 1,000 meters, and this is the shortest price favorite on the card. Number 1, War Princess at 6-10. There's only one other runner in single figures, and it's a first-timer called Wait for Green Light. Now, that is number 11, Fabian Habib's runner. He's engaged the services of Samanga Kumalo. 6-10 with a horse that traveled down to Cape Town. And then what you made of that first run back when supported and, of course, favorite as well, War Princess?
Very disappointing, Dees. I thought that she would be very hard to beat. She raced against Axel Collins, and Axel Collins ran okay subsequently. But we know that Axel Collins took an eternity to win a race with Peter Muscat in Durban. So the jury's well and truly out. I think 6-10 is a little bit too sharp. Drawn on what's perceived to be the right side of the course. There has been a bit of rain around Joburg for the last week, so I think that might set number 1, War Empress, up a little bit better. But to take 6-10, it will take a brave man. I've gone with 2 horses in the place accumulator. The backup is for number 11, Wait for Green Light, because after Platina Princess won on Tuesday, I have a little bit more confidence in these first timers, or in these 2-year-olds rather, taking on older company. I don't think there's any value in number 1, War Empress. We obviously were on the same sort of hymn sheet with Platina Princess on Tuesday, and she came out and won with ease. But also, she's obviously got her problems, and all 3 of her starts she's returned coughing. I think she's a little bit delicate. I think if one thing goes against her, she might just spit it out and refuse to do it. So, yeah, I expect her to be there, but 6-10 is a bit too skinny for me.
Yeah, decision time in the pick 6. You're either going to take your chances and go with the betting market and make this horse a good thing, number 1, War Princess, because there's really not much else that we can speak about in the betting, because that first-timer rule will come into play with number 11, Wait for Green Light. So are you all in, or are you going to try and beat the 6-10 shot in race number 3? Race number 4 is over 1,000 meters. It's 14:25. It's a merit-rated 96 handicap, and it is the start of the jackpot. We have a scratching here of number 7, so 6 runners will go to post. And I really like the look of Fabian Habib's runner, but I'll tell you how they're betting. Number 1, Constable, is at 2-1. And Donald Geertsen's getting a few chances from Sean, and he seems to be enjoying it, riding for the Terry Yard. He'll claim the 2.5 there. That's at 2-1. And then number 3, Mover and Shaker, is the 17-10 shot. By the way, number 5, Vegas High Rise, Fabian Habib's other runner, is at 23-10. So, Mover and Shaker, I think place accumulator, solid banker. Pick 6, I'm going to just include the 2 runners here, numbers 1 and 3.
I hope I haven't overcomplicated this race, Steve. I've gone 2 and 3 in my place accumulator, both Fabian's horses, with a strong fancy for number 3, Mover and Shaker. The last run to Mercantile was perhaps a trifle disappointing at the time, but after Mercantile won the Man of War on Saturday, that run looks a lot better. I still don't know what his best distance is. Might sound a little bit crazy. I know he fell across the line on Hollywoodbets Durbanville when winning the Bloodstock South Africa sales race, but that was over 1,300 meters. And I know that 2 of his other wins have come over 1,000 meters, but that's while he's been gradually going through the divisions. I hope the handicapper hasn't caught up with him. He's a good horse. He is my top choice. But number 2, Mardi Gras, just keeps staring at me. From a once high rating of 124, he'll never get to that mark again. But the last time he won off a mark of 99. He's down to 100 again. So he could be well set up. He plummets in distance. There's no Princess Keller in this race, although he was well beaten by Princess Keller. I think number 2, Mardi Gras, is not far away at the end of it all. I think he'll run a big race, perhaps just falling short of winning. So I've gone with 2 horses in the place accumulator. The field's obviously cut up to 6. I have respect for number 1, Constable. I think he'll need the run. I think he'll do better with this run under the belt. And the others I just don't think are at the same class.
Yeah, just touching on that Mover and Shaker, you mentioned Mercantile coming out to win on Derby Day. Well, third in that race was Trompy, and fourth in that race was Miss Daisy, and that's exactly how they ran, third and fourth behind Mercantor on Derby Day. So that form line is looking good for number 3, Mover and Shaker. We'll see how it goes, but Alistair's found some nice value there with the stable companion Mardi Gras. In fact, Fabian Habib, you could say he could hold the aces here with these 3 runners in race number 4. Race number 5, 1,800 meters. It's a novice handicap. Now, this race, Alistair, 18 to 10, number 1. Then we go 17 to 10, number 2. 7 to 1, number 3. 23 to 10, number 5. And it is 10 to 1 and better the balance. Obviously, you know, Waishong's runner seems to have done well out the maidens, but how good could the Paul Matchett's runner be, number 2, Haslo Grande?
I think the first thing we need to address is how hard it's going to be for these 3-year-olds to give weight to a horse like Lutsuli, who's also a 3-year-old. But I mean, they've got to give 8 and 6 kilos to a horse that's banging at the door. It's not going to be easy. But with that said, Vasilius and Haslo Grande have got any amounts of scope to improve. I've gone 2 and 5 in my place accumulator. I think Haslo Grande is probably the right one. I love the way that he stepped up last time, and nothing really went right for him. Puerto Plata's a battling mate, and he's going to win a race or two one of these days, but it's not going to be at a very high level. And Haslo Grande, I think the chips were down at one stage and was still able to get out of trouble when trying the distance for the first time. So I think there's any amount still to come. I think he's more upwardly mobile at this stage of his career than number 1, Vitilius, who's also got to be doubtful over this distance. He might very well love this trip. I wouldn't rule him out completely. But to give weight and to go over uncharted waters for the first time won't be easy for number 1, Vitilius. So my backup comes from number 5, Lutsuli. With a little bit of trepidation, I'm just actually hoping to survive this race because I also have a bit of time for number 4. The Nkasana, JP van der Merwe, does get a tune out of this horse. And if he doesn't win, I think he'll be right there. He's always been in the first 4 under JP. So number 4, the Nkasana is a nice quartet inclusion at worst. But with regard to number 5, Lutsuli, I liked him last time behind Lady Sansa. At the time, I was satisfied with the run, but Lady Sansa wanted any price on that occasion at Neo Aule, and subsequently she ran a disappointing race the next time out. So I think the level of form needs to be taken on trust. I think number 5, Lutsuli, will be there or thereabouts. But it's funny how racing works. You know how it is. Had Lady Sansa not run in between, I would have been very, very confident about number 5, Lutsuli. Now that she has, I have 1 or 2 question marks.
Well, it's a case of young 3-year-olds progressing, improving, just starting off their careers against exposed horses who haven't won for some time and seem to be low on confidence. So how it's going to play out? Well, it's either 1 or 2, or you're going to have to play it wide. But I like Alistair's thinking here with number 5, Lutsuli at 23 to 10. Draw 1, Muzieni for Fabian Habib, and a stable that could have a good day, maybe one to follow at the Vaal on Thursday. Race number 6 is over 1,200 meters, and here I've made my play, and I am made my play in a big way here, Alistair. I know it's a field of 12 that go to post. You can try and dissect the form. There are some collateral form lines to work out, but number 1, Defender of Right, Stuart Pettigrew and Gavin Larena trading at 14 to 10. I think the form is solid. It's clear to see. And although, you know, a one-time winner for 403 days, we must not forget that after 69, the signs are there for this daughter of Flower Alley. She's at 14 to 10. Then we go along to, what's the next horse in the betting? We have to go right down to number 7 at 11 to 2, 8 at 8 to 1, 10 Feather the Nest at 15 to 2, and 11 Mabanang at 13 to 2. I think, a Defender of Rights, whilst, you could say that she doesn't give you any confidence, having not won for some time, and, you may be frustrated, and she's a costly horse to follow in the past, but she may just be bumping the right type of field, Alistair.
Well, there's definitely that line of thinking, Dees. I've spoken to Stuart Pettigrew about this filly in the past, and she works like an absolute train, but she's just got no heart on race day. So not only is she frustrating you, not only is she frustrating me, not only is she frustrating her followers, she's frustrating her trainer as well. It's probably now or never. Gavin Arena's an interesting jockey engagement. He doesn't answer often. I know that they don't speak too often, but obviously they're on good terms at the moment. So, number 1, Defender of Rights. You're probably right. It's probably now or never. She has to give weight away. I can't be confident about it, but she's definitely got the best credentials in the race. If Roy Magner's Yard was in better form, I'd make a very strong case for number 7, Conquer the World. She moved up very strongly last time. She was never disgraced last time, the second run rather for Roy. She probably came on with the first one under the belt. I think all things being equal, she should run another nice race. And then number 10, Feather the Nest, another interesting runner. Marco van Riemen starts at a gate 1 for St. Gray. St. John's been awfully quiet of late. I think number 10, Feather the Nest, her overall record suggests that she just won't be far away. She's probably more reliable to run in the first 4 than any other horse. Her and Defender of Rights running into the first 4 is probably just more reliable than anyone else in the race.
Yeah, and then a horse that keeps me interested is number 4, Written in Stone, as you mentioned, 936, long time since he's won, but he still seems to be enjoying his racing. He's a 7-year-old having his 62nd run on Thursday. Well, it looks like a race where you're either Defender of Rights or you're going to try to play it wide then, race number 6. Race number 7, 1,600 meters, merit rated 86 handicap. This is how they're betting. Number 2, Stratospheric, who's in excellent form since coming down from Cape Town. It's back-to-back wins for him. He's at 15-10. 3, Trident King. Well, here's a horse. How solid can a horse get? This horse is in superb form. Number 3, Trident King. That's trading at 5-1. 6, Mojive at 9-2. We got 7-1, number 7, Bloomington. 8, Sequoia, the Cox runner at 11-2, and 9, Sudden Blaze at 7-1. I think when you have a look at it just on paper, how much more to come from number 2, Stratospheric, because if you think that maybe this 92 is a bit too high for him now, or you have the thinking that he can achieve higher. If you think he can achieve a higher, you'll go for him. But if not, then you look for cover here.
We spent a lot of time talking about that race on the 23rd of March with Crimson King, who was easily the best weighted horse in the race, but also running over the wrong trip. So that gave Stratospheric an open gate to win the race. And boy, did he win when the stable companion Fur Baby set the pace for Stratospheric, sat in behind, still over raced, still was a little bit strong in behind his pacemaker, but just blew them away in style and only got £4 for the race. There's every chance he could back it up. But in the place accumulator, I think number 9, Southern Blaze, is a very reliable proposition. I know he's got the worst of the draws, but I wouldn't worry about that because he comes from last. And I think with Stratospheric in the race, there's bound to be at least a reasonable pace for him to aim at. When you also look at Southern Blaze, he got very close to Eye of the Prophet, the winner of the first leg of the World Sports Betting Triple Crown, the World Sports Betting Guineas. So number 9, Southern Blaze, I think he's definitely my place accumulator banker, but I think he'll run well. He loves the Vaal as well. Peter Sunday gets a tune out of him for Stuart Pettigrew. If he doesn't win, I'm comfortable that he'll be in the first 3. So from a PA perspective, I've banked him. 7, Bloomington, if it was the inside track, I'd have a lot more time for him. I've still got time for him. I still think that he'll be there, but the inside track, he seems to grow an extra leg. And then number 3, Trident King, is an absolute model of consistency. It's impossible to rule him out. But I just think that number 9, Southern Blaze, at the Vaal, just with the way that things are likely to set up, I think that he'll at least run the first 3. But in the place accumulator, you want to go a bit wider.
I just want to get a comment from you on this horse, You Can't Hurry Love, who was so highly rated, and he started off his career with a bang. And things have just gone south. That's what it has happened. And he hasn't won for, what's it called? It's going to be, it's well over 3 years now. But, yeah, this horse has just gone off, Alistair, for a long time now.
Dees, there's an angle of him running fresh that might just help. He's not the best mover, and maybe being rested 121 days, he'll have a little bit of zest in him. Look, I think it's probably a little bit short of his best over a mile. I know he's won twice over the distance, but he's always given the impression when he goes 2,000 meters, that will be his optimum, the son of Gimme the Green Light. Very interesting horse because pound for pound, he is easily the best horse in the race. His highest rating achieved is a 114, and the next best highest rating achieved is a 92. So that just shows you where number 4, You Can't Hurry Love, can go. Better days are clearly behind him, but yeah, maybe coming out fresh, he could have a little bit of laugh at him and run into the first 4. I'd like to see him run well because he's always been a favourite of mine.
Yeah, it's all about catching the right wave at the right time with the horse that's tumbling down in the ratings like he has. Well, if you try and get it right, you're always going to get value because his price is always decent considering the form that he's in. But we know that he started off his career exceptionally well. Number 4, You Can't Hurry Love. I thought he deserved some airtime against this bunch in race number 7. Race number 8, 1600 meters, and this is a merit-weighted 72 handicap. It's an E division class. This is how they're betting, Alistair. Bob's Your Uncle, number 1, a maiden winner last time out at 4-1, carrying top weight, won well. I say won well, but that was a gutsy win. Showed a lot of heart in that photo finish. Then we go on to number 3. Hey, there's our horse, Alistair. Kabisi, no dogs around you there, huh? 6-1.
No.
Number 4, 3-1. Number 6 is 7-1. 7 at 3-1. And that's it, 10-1 and better the balance. I think if you're running in any of the exotics, especially the pick 6, you're not going to be safe if you got half the field, because this race could spring any type of result.
Yeah, it's a very tricky race. You definitely won't get any dogs here because I've just arrived at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth racecourse. So if any dogs come up to me now, then we know that that obesity is just one of those horses.
Sure.
Yeah, in this race, I'd say the 2 informed trainers in the half-felts are the 2 horses to go with here. So Lucky Hoodalakis and Sean Terry, they can do no wrong at the moment. I reckon that one of them will at least run into the first 3. From a pick 6 and jackpot perspective, you'll want to go a little bit wider. In fact, you'll want to go much wider because ABC, Napoleon, they runners, Gregor McGregor, I'd also want to keep on side just because there was support from him last time and he left the jockey behind in the starting stall. So I think he is of some level of interest at least, and so too is number 12, Parker Gedrick. I think he's a nice quartet inclusion. But number 1, Bob's Your Uncle, when he won, I didn't think too much of the win. Just the way that he's a bit of a gangly horse, but going over a mile for the first time, I think is going to suit him nicely. And now the form is looking a little bit better after Saturday. And then number 7, Eagle Alley, I made money on him in his penultimate start when I put my head down for places, and he ran 3rd to Robert Burns. He followed up with an even better run subsequently when I let him run loose. So he's not far away from winning number 7, Eagle Alley. He won the first 2 starts of his career. He was probably just handicapped out of life for a while. But I think the confidence is coming back, and I think he's bound to be there again. So 1 and 7 for me, the 2 leading protagonists with heaps who could run into the money.
1 and 7 to round it off in race number 8. Those could possibly be good for the PA. Well, let's bring up Alistair's PA. He mentioned that he's given us a place accumulator. You just want to run through that, Ali?
Yep, so the place accumulator at the Vaal on Thursday begins in race number 2. The second race runs at 25 past 1. So in the first leg, I've got numbers 2, 6, and 8, who are Bomb, Camo, and No Place Like Home. By 1 and 11, War Empress and Wait for Green Light. I might end up bankering one or the other come the place accumulator getting underway. If there is a lot of money on Wait for Green Light, or if there's no interest, I think that'll show you which way to go. But 2 and 3 in race number 4, which is the third leg, those are Mardi Gras and Mover and Shaker, very comfortable there. But 2 and 5 in race number 5, which is leg 4 of the place accumulator, Haslo Grande and Lutsuli. By 1, 7, and 10, to say that I'm looking for a result is probably no justice, but I am not 100% convinced about Defender of Rights and Q, her coming back to winning ways. And then in race 7, the penultimate leg, banker number 9, Southern Blaze, even though I think you'll be hard-pressed to win, I think you'll run in the first 3, and then the final leg, 1 and 7, Bob's Your Uncle and Eagle Alley.
Times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24. Just bring that up again there, Ryan, please. Right, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24, times 3 is 72, times 2, 144 Rand. It is a full spend. Thanks to Ryan for bringing that slide back up. And a big thank you to Alistair. I know it's been a busy morning for him this Wednesday, traveling and obviously doing some calling on Wednesday at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. But we thank you for your time, Alistair. I know it's been a busy morning, and have a blast. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Dees, and thanks to the entire team and yourself just for indulging with me and being patient with me on this Wednesday. Really, really appreciate it. And, all the best to everyone.
Yeah, thanks to Alistair Cohen. Thanks to the Gallop TV team from myself, Dees Dana, and have a blast. Find all the winners, make a huge profit, and hopefully it turns out to be a day you'll remember at the Vaal on Thursday, the 6th of April. For myself, Dees Dana, and until we meet again, you take care. Salani Gashle.